So the perfect happy have Suave. I love that name.
Thank you.
Suavemente on the
Yes.
Unconventional Money Moves Podcast. Suave does not only residential, but also commercial real estate, which I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how commercial real estate's going. And she has, do you have a pretty big following on TikTok? I tried to find your TikTok. I couldn't find it though. Like, what's that been like with
So,
TikTok? What's going on over there?
TikTok is just like my fun place. It's nothing professional. It's nothing, anything. So on TikTok, I think I don't even know. Let me see. It's the same name. So I don't know why it didn't pop up, but I have 265,000 followers on TikTok. But it was kind of like a 2020, I'm bored, so I'm gonna do something type of thing. And it kind of
COVID
just,
project?
it wasn't even a project. It was like, oh, TikTok seems like fun. So I started doing TikToks and all these followers came. So,
Yeah. Has anything come from like doing it, or is just for fun, or anything like opportunities come from your TikTok page?
I'll say like 2 years ago, maybe. I was single. So I was doing a lot more things. Like I have friends who they do like skits and things like that. So I was doing like a lot of skits. I was meeting a lot of celebrities and in a lot of different places. And now I'm in a relationship for the last 2 years now. So I haven't really been doing those things. But I think I maybe had like 2 sponsorships altogether, but it's probably because I'm not that consistent on my TikTok. They
That's
probably
cool.
could be more than what it is.
Who's the coolest person you've met from doing TikToks?
I don't know if it's from doing TikToks per se. Like,
Okay.
what I mean? Like, so for instance, like a friend of mine, he's a comedian, so he knows other comedians, things like that. So I wouldn't say that it's from doing TikToks. It's just kind of like once you the world that we live in is kind of like once you say, oh hey, my name's this, and they're like, oh, what's your Instagram or TikTok? Then it's like, oh wow, you have a lot of followers. And it's like, let me introduce you to this person. But
Yeah,
I think it's more of just knowing people in general that kind of gets you there. It's not because of my following.
totally. Yeah, I went and watched my old high school basketball coach, and I met this guy like named Justin, and I followed him on like TikTok, and it's like Justin Silva, and he's like been blowing up. And he's a comedian. He's like traveling all over the country. I was like, yo, I met you in like real life, which was pretty cool. So it's always fun to like meet someone in the real world, and then you see them like what they're doing online can be uh really cool to be like, oh man, like this person makes a lot of people laugh and people like them, or like Suave with her cool videos. But that's not your main thing, and you are successful in the real estate industry, which a lot of people do real estate, but what I found intriguing is you do commercial and residential. So like with what's been going on, like what have you been seeing in the commercial real estate industry? And you're in Charlotte. So specifically in Charlotte, what have you been seeing in not just residential but commercial?
So the thing with commercial is a completely different horse versus the residential that a lot of people don't know if they don't dabble in both. I was lucky enough to be a part of a firm. I was with EXP, and EXP allows you, it's a cloud-based firm. So you can
Mhm.
do both residential and commercial deals. Um, the most that I was doing was actually rentals, so like leases. So the thing with COVID, when COVID happened, a lot of people discovered they had a lot of different qualities about themselves they may not have known. It was a lot of time for us to kind of get to know ourselves and things like that. And so from that, I guess, time of enlightenment, for the lack of a better word, people discovered like, wow, I could open my own business. So there are a lot of individuals who are like, okay, well, what do I do? What's my next step? Things like that. So they have these ideas. And so one thing I like to call myself, I'm not a real estate agent, I'm a problem solver. And one big thing that I used to say when I had my own team at EXP, which I'm no longer with them, but when I was with EXP, I had my own team. And I would always say that a dream without a plan is just a wish. So I like to help people make their dreams come true. So I'll help them with their business plans, things like that. And so in Charlotte specifically, there are so many things that are being built. Like we were, I think, number 2 in the nation as far as like a growing city, getting equity back and things that you put money into as far as receiving back, your return on your investment, because equity is growing so fast in Charlotte. And it's like one of those recession-proof places, I guess, for lack of a better term too. So a lot of people are figuring out that, the economy is in a different place. I don't really want to go to school and work forever, like to just do this for someone else and support someone else's dream. I want my own dream. So I have a lot of individuals who reach out to me via social media and say like, hey, I have this great idea. I want to open a photography studio. I started doing photography in 2020 and now I want my own studio. Can you help me? Or I want to do a selfie museum, or like all these different ideas that I feel that the most beautiful part about it is that I get to help them bring that dream to life. So commercial is a great way to, I guess, branch outside of just residential, especially with the economy being the way that it is. Sorry, that was a long answer, right?
Hey, it doesn't matter the length of the answer as long as it's a quality answer. That's what the most important thing is. And so you said you're helping people with business plans too. What's that about?
So a lot of times, because it's a lot of new businesses, I do have some individuals who have their own business already and they're looking to branch out into different areas. But as far as people who have these beautiful ideas, a lot of times people are like level 1, level 0 entrepreneurs, and they've never done any type of entrepreneurship, but they just have this wonderful idea and have no idea how to make it happen. And the easiest thing that people do that they don't do, that they should, but they don't, is write things down. So it's like, I could come to you and say, I have this wonderful idea, but I don't have any idea how to get there. Well, the first step is to create a plan. And I tell all of my agents that I work with too, if you're helping anyone with commercial, the 2 things that you're going to first need, regardless of anything, are going to be your financials and your business plan. And you cannot have financials without a business plan. So business plan is like step number 1 after having an idea, right? So I can't help someone without that business plan. And I'm not, a lot of agents who work in commercial would, especially if they're doing these large projects where people are purchasing buildings, things like that. It would be, if you don't have a business plan, your financials, go figure that out, come back and see me. There you go. And figure that out. Because I'm the agent, right? The agent is the middle person between the client and the owner or the seller, whatever it may be. And we bring them together to create a deal. But because I became a real estate agent, not to make money, like, of course I want to make money. Who doesn't want to make money? But it was more of, I want to be able to help people. That's the satisfaction, because I feel like being happy in life is not the hard part. It's figuring out what makes you happy. That's the hard part. And I think what makes me happy is helping other people do the things that they really want to do. So I will create these business plans and have these one-on-ones with my clients, figure out what exactly they're looking for. And sometimes we'll figure out, the financial capabilities that they are at the moment may not be where they need to be, but now they have a plan. This is what we can work on. So in 2 years, I can come back to you and help you get to that point, whatever it may be. But that's just, I have to have a business plan. And so instead of turning them away, I help them with that too.
And the business plan is to acquire the real estate.
The business plan is to acquire financing and acquire real estate, because whenever you have a business, especially if it's a brand new business per se, you want to be able to present to the landlord, because the landlord has already invested their money into this property, right? So if landlord brings someone into this space, now I'm taking a risk on you. What is your business going to do? What can you provide? How are you going to pay rent? Are you going to be able to stay? You're going to be here for 5 or 6 years. Are you going to be able to have a growing business? What does your numbers look like? Things like that. So if you can present your financials and your business plan to the landlord, and it shows, this is how we're planning on making money. This is how we're going to acquire funds. This is how we're going to do the upfit. And then on top of that, having that business plan, because this is an investment for the landlord as well, it gives you that room for tenant upfit. So let's say that you have a nail salon or something like that. You're going to need plumbing. You're going to need some things that need to be done to the property if it's a shelf space. So to say, hey, look, this is how I'm going to run my business. This is exactly what I'm thinking about making. These are my projections for the next 3 to 5 years, things like that. So would you be able to put so much per square foot towards the upfit of the property? But because you have everything on paper, it's written down, it's clear, it's plain as day, they see what their investment is, more landlords would be more willing to invest into you for you to be able to have the upfit done to the property.
Gotcha. Are you helping with like these people with these business ideas, like go get money too, or just strictly helping them set up to be successful so that they can get this commercial real estate? I'm just seeing how deep in the weeds are you getting with with the people you're looking to help?
It depends. I have a lot of connections as far as like lending, and I have some people who work at certain banks that can help with small business loans, helping with grants, things like that. Because the last thing I want to do is just tell someone, just I can't help you. I don't know, because I'm a realtor. I'm a problem solver. So any way that I can help, and that's what I actually just posted on my Instagram a couple of days ago about networking. Like, it's so important to network, because even if you can't get a commercial building or a home today, I can find someone that can help you solve whatever problem that you're looking for, because I'm very big in networking. So I know someone for everything at this point in my life, networking.
Gotcha. And what, other than like helping them with the business plan, what's the biggest hurdle the people you talk to need to overcome? Because like, you can help me write a good business plan, or I could have a business plan, but it's just literally like a sheet of paper until you actually do something.
So I guess that would be the hardest part, I guess whenever someone goes from working a regular job to wanting to be an entrepreneur, the last thing you want to do is make them feel like, oh, this is impossible, I can't do it, right? But it's going to feel that way because you've never done that. The way that society is structured has always been for you to go to school, get a job, work for someone, get 401k, and then it's very comfortable, right? Average is what has been put above the standard. Like, we want to be average, and it's like average is looked at as great, but it's not, right? And so when you go into something like being an entrepreneur and you're following your dreams, it's very intimidating. So I think that I think it may be getting someone to understand, if they're a first time to business, this is strictly for brand new entrepreneurs who are trying to branch out into their own business, but it's more of getting them to understand that this is a process. It's not overnight and it's going to take time, and you have to change your mindset. A lot of times I will also recommend certain books to them, because I really love real estate, because it's not just real estate. It's so many ways for you to be able to fulfill yourself along with other people during the process. So I think that that's the hardest part, in getting financing for certain things, and just getting the client to understand that this is not the same thing that you've been doing all your life, in commercial specifically.
Yeah. And I mean, have you always been in this space, or did you have some sort of like transformation where you were like working a job and you're like, this ain't for me?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I have been working for a very long time, since I was 16. I'll be 30 in like, I think 10 days or so, something like that.
There you
And
go. Welcome to the club.
thanks. But so ironically, to your podcast, Unconventional Ways, like, I have always been that person that has that I can do it too attitude. So it's like, if I see it, I can do that. I can do that too. So it was like, I had my own podcast because I heard people have podcasts. So I got an anchor. I did my own podcast, and it was fun. I had a few listeners, and it was like, I think my thing is I'm a jack of all trades, master for none type of thing. So I was working, I think the biggest shift, like for instance, I worked at Sam's Club. And when I worked at Sam's Club, I was at the membership desk, and I was like 21, I don't know. And we had a lot of individuals that spoke Spanish, and a lot of people did not speak Spanish there, because I worked in Canapolis. It's a very large Spanish community. And I'm like, well, you know what? We need to learn how to speak some Spanish in here. So I started looking up things on Google Translate, and I learned how to like, cuánto aplicar para la tarjeta de crédito, to ahorrar $30, or like, no, it's just like simple things like that.
Something like, you need $30. Is that what you said?
Cuando tú aplicar para tarjeta de crédito, tu recibo $30 hoy. Tú necesito comprar aquí porque tú tienes muchas personas en tu familia.
You need $30 today? Is that what you said?
When you sign up for a credit card.
All right.
You save $30 today. Or like, you have a large family, you should shop here, things like that. And so that was like, okay, well, I can do that. So then it was, since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to do nails, and I do nails as well. And so my biggest vision is to own nail salon. So no matter what I do, real estate, working for whoever, whatever it may be, is to get to the nail salon part. But it was just like, I would see, I think that going through what I've been through in life, and knowing that people in my family, none of them have been entrepreneurs and have been someone that I could look up to for that. But it was by me dating individuals and being in certain spaces that it was like, wow, this is what it's like to own your own shit. This is amazing. Like, I want to be a part of this. How can I do this? And I got the I can do it too attitude. So I just continued to work and take everything that I did before that and took it to the next thing every single time. And then it was like I worked at Enterprise and I worked about 70 to 80 hours a week. It was ridiculous. And I was doing nails and my auntie passed away. But before she passed away, she would always ask, like, can you do my nails? Can you do my nails? And I was like, I can't work all the time. And so I told my manager, like, hey, this is way too much. I can't do this. Like, I don't have any time for my own life. And he was like, well, you know what? You have to make sacrifices if you want to move up. I said, what? You gotta be fucking kidding me. So I left and I went to the membership desk, and every day I would come in, I'd put my purse down, say, I'm not going to be here that long. I was there for like an hour. I was there for like a year and a half. And I was like, next thing, if I sell anything else, it's going to be houses or it's going to be cars. And I was like, well, I'm not selling cars. I'm tired of cars, working at Enterprise. And then I got my real estate license. And once I got my real estate license, I had my first deal. My first deal was a $1.5 million buy, $500,000 sale. And I bombed it because I had no one to help me. And I literally gave up on real estate. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna keep my license, whatever. And then I ended up getting my mortgage license and did that for a year. And then I worked at a company that did a lot of big layoffs. I knew they were going to start doing layoffs. So like 4 months before they started to lay people off, I went ahead and signed up for a brokerage to be an agent. So by the time they started laying people off, I was already getting back into real estate. And my first year, I ended up doing a little bit under $3 million in sales. And it was just on from there. But I think it was more of, I just realized how much I could help individuals, like having certain conversations when it's like, oh, you're in real estate. Can you do this? And it's being able to feel confident in what you're talking about and helping someone is like, I just love it. That was these answers.
Yeah. So being you're the first person in your family to not have like a conventional salary job or hourly wage, what has that been like with them? Are they supportive? Are they kind of like you're changing? Like, because a lot of people go through struggles when you start to, get more successful than the people that you grew up with.
No. So like on my mom's side, we meet at least once a month. Always so many like females on our side of the family. So we'll meet like once a month. And it's more like, oh, I see you doing real estate, so I made a good job. Like there's no animosity. It's more like we're really proud of you. My little sister, she is going to school to be a doctor. And I think the most satisfying things of that is just being able to be like, hey, I want to show you this $1 million house that you can, because it's kind of like you don't really know what you're missing in life until you experience it. So it's like I'm able to show her like, this is reality. Like you can have this and you can shop for this. Like one time I took her to like a condo uptown and she was like, I thought all these were businesses. I had no idea you could live up here in these buildings. Like, yeah. And it's just, they are very supportive and it's very satisfying to be able to be that person that you can give that type of advice to. And it's not like you're just speaking out of the crack of your butt. Like you really know what you're talking about and you can really help some family. Creating generational wealth is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, when you're looking to go pro in something, you got to go see what like the pros are doing. Like you need to go to like, we were talking before we hopped in, you went to an NFL game. So if you want to be an NFL player one day, you got to go see and like, be like, what are they doing? What do they look like? If you want to go live in a $5 million penthouse, you got to go look at it, see it, know it actually exists. It's not just something you see on like maybe MTV Cribs when you were growing up or something like that. And you got to like touch it, feel it, know that like, hey, like if this person did it, I could do it because we're all just people. There's nothing really separating us other than, there are some people out there who, they have access to some certain things that you may not have access to initially. However, if you network and you're able to meet the right people, you can then have access to those things and you actually earn it rather than, some people are just given certain things just because of what their family is or who they are per se, or how
And
they
that's
grew up.
too. It's like me and my boyfriend were talking the other day, and the conversation came up about like, oh, the kids at school got picked on because their parents had money and stuff. And it's like, those kids are picking on them because they're jealous because your parents have money. Like, it's not your fault that your parents decided to do something with themselves. So instead of them picking on those kids, it should have been a mindset of, I want to be that parent. So what do I have to do now in my lifetime for me to be able to be the parent that gives their child opportunities? So we all get 24 hours. It's just, what do you decide to do with those 24 hours that makes you different from being average?
Yeah. And with 24 hours, you mentioned you're like a jack of all trades. How are you looking to get out of being a jack of all trades so that you could focus on the big vision? Because you don't want to spread yourself so thin where like, you only get 80% of everything done.
Yeah, I'm not. I love it. I love doing like this. So like now, as far as real estate, I have been working with a lot of investors specifically. It just kind of happened that way. So that's like become my niche, is where niche or niche. I don't know which one it is. Anyway, I've been working with a lot of investors. So I'm leaving my previous firm to go with a new firm. And it literally focuses only on investors. And I think I'm going to love it. It's going to be fantastic. And I think that's going to help me be able to start saving and planning, because I already have my business plan already and financials and everything set up for my nail salon that I want to have. And it's going to help me be able to branch out to that. But one thing that I've learned throughout life, because I've been pretty much by myself for quite some time. I'm not very family oriented. I have family, but I don't really hang out with them that much. Like, we do the once a month thing. It's great, but I've literally just been by myself. And I've learned here recently in the last couple of years that you can't do anything by yourself. So things that you are not good at or things that you don't care to be better at, give them to someone else, period. And do what makes you happy. So what makes me happy is doing the things that I do. And as far as like having management roles or things like that, you give those things to someone else. Give it to someone else who went to school so they know how to work to do the things that you don't want to do. So I have no intentions of not doing anything I want to do that I may be good at. And if I don't want to do it, I want. Because at the end of the day, like, I just want to be happy. Like, I still do nails from time to time if I want to. It's not because I have to, it's because I want to. And I think that's the most satisfying thing in life. I don't have to not to, people say all the time, like, you just have to focus on one thing, focus on one thing. It's not about focusing on one thing, it's being able to block out your time correctly. So if I want to be, like, for instance, I'm getting back in shape. I don't say I'm going to be the best athlete ever, so I'm only going to work out every day, all day. No, I say I'm going to work out for an hour and 30 minutes a day and work on that. Boom. Okay, so I know that real estate, once I get back to this new firm, I'm going to be working there for a certain amount of time. So in between those time, I can time block an hour for me to paint. I paint a lot, so I can do painting for an hour. I can do, somebody hits me up, they say I want to get the nails done. Okay, it's going to take me about 2 hours to do that. What day with that? It's just time blocking. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that on your podcast. I apologize. But you can do whatever you want to do. No one can stop you from doing that. You don't have to be so laserly focused on one thing to be great. It's just, you have to put the time, effort, and energy into planning out everything that you want to do to make it happen. That's it.
For sure. And in the beginning, you do have to do everything to get started. And then you have to have the realization that it takes a team in order to scale, because if you have, 3 or 4 people working, that gives you an extra, let's just say they all work, just say 10 hours a week, because that's easy math. You have 4 people, that's an extra 40 hours a week. That's an extra 40 hours of work that gets done for your company that you don't have to do. Someone else is doing it, but you can trust but verify that they're doing everything correctly. 40 extra hours a week times 52 weeks, 50 weeks. That's like an extra, 2,000 hours a year. So eventually you got to realize, like, hey, like, you may be great at nails, but like, you also have to have other people helping you to scale, even if they're probably not as good as you. Like, because, sometimes you have to realize, like, hey, if someone's like 90% as good, I'd rather have 5 people at 90% than just 1 at 100%, because then you could focus on doing what we have to, so you can do what you want to, such as like, hey, like, I'm going to go for a run this afternoon and I'm going to go paint a beautiful picture.
Exactly. It's the be, do, have principle. Like you have to be who you need to be to do what you need to do to have things you want to have. So at the end of the day, I think you just summed it up perfectly.
Oh, thank you.
What you have to do to be scalable. You're right. So
Yeah, because I mean that's what I like that perspective because like it seems like you plan things. I didn't plan anything. I'm just like I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna figure it out along the way. Now like I do have plans, but like I didn't write down like a business plan in order to start our investment company. I was just like I know how to do this. I know there's a problem, so I'm gonna go out and figure out how to solve problems. So it's like I don't know. I've been more of like a doing kind of person, and it's always nice to like hear other people's perspective, and it's good to know like hey, like there's different ways to do things, and ultimately staying true to yourself on what's best for you, rather than you could get too much advice and people are giving you advice on what worked well for them, but ultimately just because like something worked well for me doesn't mean it's going to work well for Suave. So it's like having that knowing thyself and being able to know like hey, like thanks for the tip, Suave, like that's a good tip. It ain't gonna work for me, but that's cool
right.
because that tip with the people that you're helping, you'd be like, hey, like someone gave me this tip, it wasn't good for me, but maybe it's good for you. So it's like always staying open-minded to ideas, and even if the idea doesn't apply to maybe like how you're living your life or you're running your business, just knowing those little nuggets could help someone else is what I feel like is a superpower, because some people are like, oh, that won't work for me, and then they just like toss the idea out and then just forget about it. It's like, well, you never know when that might come back around to help you out.
Exactly. I agree with that. Because like I am have you ever read the book called Relentless?
Tim Grover.
Yes.
So I got tired of paying like for Amazon. So like I realized for free you can get books for free on your phone from like the public libraries, and his book's always taken. So I just like read a summary about it. But basically it was like, being a champion. And I heard the story. I don't know if it was in the book, but did he talk about in the book the story about um when his daughter asked him why he travels so much? Was that in
No,
the book?
it may have been. I don't remember it because I don't.
Well,
I
he
read
was like packing up for a trip, like Tim Grover, right? Tim Grover was like packing up for a trip, and his daughter was like, hey dad, like why do you travel so much? And he was like, well, this is how I provide for the family, this is how I put food on the table. And like he said, his daughter asked him, he's like, if I eat less, will you stay home more? And
wow.
he was like, I kept packing because like this is what I do. And I was
Mhm.
like, man, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah,
that'd be
that's
that'd be a tough one.
that's a hard one. But I mean, the book pretty much talks about like closers, cleaners, and oh my God, I just had a brain fart. I can't remember the last one. The other one is not that important. I guess, and that goes to that point of like he kept packing. That's what he does because he's a closer. He does what he's gonna do. He's made up in his mind. I'm gonna make it's gonna get it done, and whatever has to be done to get it done is what's gonna happen. So I think that like 10 out of 10, highly recommend that book. Even if you can listen to it on YouTube for free, please recommend, like, please read it. But it's I think that book kind of put into perspective what options there are in life. Like you don't have to always be a closer. A lot of closers are way more successful in the sense that they like LeBron James and Kobe, they are closers all day. And then you have like cleaners, like Dwayne Wade to me may be like, I think he said he's more of a cleaner because it's like he supports the closer and can plan things out or whatever it may be. But it doesn't matter if you're a planner or not. In my perspective, it's more of, are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you going to stay true to your thought process or your dream to make it a reality? So it's like, even if you don't plan everything, but you do everything it takes to do it, then that's all that matters. Like you may not be a planner. I'm a Virgo. I'm a super duper organized person. I can't function if I'm not planning it out because I feel like it won't be done. Like, but that's just me. I'm a weirdo. But I mean, like you're a great example of people who don't have to write everything out and plan it out, but you may not have needed certain things for you to have to plan it out. It's just being honest with yourself that I can make this happen and I'm going to do whatever it takes for it to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is like a good outlook or a poor outlook, the way I view things is like, such as like you mentioned, getting in shape. Like I like working out. It's cool. I'm not an athlete though, so it's not my job. So I'm always looking at how do I do the minimum to get the maximum results that I'm looking for in terms of things such as like, staying in shape is important. Like, because if you're healthy, you can work longer, you have more energy, and then you go to the doctor less. Like, that's a good thing. However, I don't want to be going to the gym 4 hours a day. That's a sixth of my day. And the other 6 to 8 hours I'm sleeping. So half my days between resting and working out. So I'm always looking at like, how do I put in the least amount to get the max out, but not so much like effort, like the effort's there. Like, but I feel like sometimes like people don't have that time blocking like what you're doing, and they lose track of time, and all of a sudden all this time just slips through their fingers, and they're like, Suave, like, how do you get so much done? It's like, well, Josh, let me show you. Like, I had to, right? Like, I mean, how many people have come to you? Is like, how do you get so much done?
All right. It's funny because that's exactly what happened. It's this app called Structured. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. I don't know if I can. But it for a while, it literally got me because I'm organized in the sense of like I can organize my Tupperware, I can reorganize my creative room a million times, organize my polishes, things like that.
Do you make your bed every day?
I have been making my bed every day for like the last 2 months, yes.
Okay.
But it wasn't something that was me. Like I'm an artsy Virgo. So I have always been able to thrive in a messy environment, if that makes sense. So I was more of a doer like you, but I started hanging around these successful people, put myself in successful places, and trying to not try, because we don't try, we do. So what I did was I put myself in the areas of individuals who were successful and doing the things that I wanted to do. And I realized one of the main things was that they were more organized and that they woke up early. So it was like, okay, if I want to do that, I'm going to do what they're doing. And so once I realized that that was something that was in their plans, I became more organized. So in this app called Structured, which is my best friend, you can literally just break down your day. I don't think it's going to let me. Well, this is a day that doesn't count, but like you see how it wake up, shower face, post story, like you can break your day down to the T if you want to. And it sets alarms for you, so it'll go off. So like before I switched over brokerages in the morning, I had my 8:15 motivation call. It'd be over 8:40. During that time, I would make breakfast for my boyfriend every single morning. Like I had to start a routine. And I think that once I had a routine, it helped me with my time blocking, because I have never been good at this. Like if you would have asked me this question a year ago, I would have been like, what? I just figure it out, man. But now I'm doing things that have helped me be who I need to be, to do things I need to do, to have things I want to have.
Totally. So that's great that you're able to get better at it. That's awesome. In terms of time blocking, like, since I don't do this, like, I'm just like interested in like learning more about it so I can understand. Like, I always like to understand other people's perspective. Like, it's like cool for me to like hear other ways on how people have been successful. Now, what if something like gets off schedule? Does that like mess up your day, or how does like that work with the time blocking? Just because like sometimes things happen, or like a meeting goes late, and like, do you feel like you're scrambling a little bit, or not really? It's
just life. It happens. I think it's more of a blueprint. So like whenever you have a home and you want to build a home and you have a blueprint of a home, right? And as you're building the home, they may not have copper. So certain things can't come in. Certain things may not go the way that you planned. But I promise you, in less than 5 months or so, that house will be built. It doesn't matter. It's going to be okay. As long as the house is built, that is the objective. So some things may not go as planned, but I have a blueprint.
Gotcha. So something like, do you just like flip flop them, or you're just like, this happened, I just got to roll with the punches?
That's it. Yeah, make it work. Like if I have a meeting that goes over or something like that, just let the other person know, hey, I have a meeting that's running over. Can we have our meeting a little bit later? And if you can't, we can reschedule. Like so I've been watching this show called Ted Lasso. I've been watching it.
I've heard good things about it, but it's on Apple TV, which I don't have right now.
But no, so I just literally ran across it a couple days ago, and it is a phenomenal show. And one thing that he says to the teammates is, you know what, you should be like a goldfish. And the reason why is because goldfish's memory is about 10 seconds long. After 10 seconds, they forget, right? So I kind of adopted that in these past couple of days, because it's just kind of like, you can control your controllables, and that is all you can control. You do the best that you can do, and that is the best that you can do. So if something doesn't go as planned, okay, it has happened. Now what do we do? So be like a goldfish.
Yeah. For me, I feel like if I write out a plan, I'm like, it's going to probably get messed up anyway. So I just like to be flexible, such as like, these are the certain things I need to get done today. I don't care how they get done. As long as these get done, it's a successful day. But I definitely see your viewpoint in terms of like having structure, having a routine, making sure you're happy, healthy, wise, all the good things, in order to give you the energy that you need in order to do all these amazing things that you're currently doing.
Thanks. And I like your perspective too. There's nothing wrong with that, because you're still having goals. It's just not as pinpointed as mine may be, or as someone else's may be. So it's not like you're not setting goals. So it's okay.
And that's a beautiful thing. And that's a beautiful thing. Like there's, more than one way to tie your shoes. And ultimately, people watch things on the internet, like, that person's successful, I'm going to do what that person does. But like, you have to realize we're all a little bit different. So you got to figure out what works best for you, rather than just like try to copy what someone else is doing.
Right. But you'll never know if it doesn't work for you unless you try to see what it does. So it's like, I think that
no trying, only doing. Suave, you said that. Right. I caught you.
I'm terrible. Thank you for catching me. Shame on me. But if you don't do it, you'll never know. So I think that one thing that one of my coaches, he always says, is action creates clarity. So just do it. And then if it doesn't work for you, it's okay. Try something else and figure it out. You may not need all of the structure. You may not need certain things. You may realize that what you're doing right now is not for you. And then it's okay. It's all right. Just do what makes you happy. And the hardest part about being happy is figuring out what makes you happy. And the only way to figure that out is to do something to create clarity.
Boom. Mic drop. I love that. With that note, I feel like that's a great place to pause, because I felt like that was a golden nugget for everyone. So if anyone wants to follow Suavae on Instagram, TikTok, it's Suavae. Did I spell it right?
Oh, that's my professional page.
Oh, that's her professional page. Where's the good page that people can go to?
The good page is Ayo Strawberry. So it's AYO Strawberry with an I on everything, actually. And so my professional stuff, which is kind of boring compared to Ayo Strawberry, but that's Suavae. So it's SUAV as in Victor AE, Seals Deals. So SUAVAE SEALSDEALS.
Awesome. I'll put everything in the podcast description. Suavae, thanks for taking time to be on the Unconventional Money Moves podcast, and we'll see everyone next time. Bye, guys.